Are you torn between buying a new construction home in Tucson or maybe something that's not quite new? Well, you might want to stick around for today's video because I'm going to share with you some examples from people who have decided to go one route or another in the Tucson area to give you some insight that might help you make your decision. If you're new to this channel and want to learn everything from A to Z about living in Tucson, AZ, then click subscribe and tap that bell for notifications so you can be the first to learn about the current market in Tucson, Arizona. Hi, I'm Dustin Smith. My wife Jennifer and I have helped hundreds of people just like you move to and from Tucson, Arizona. So whether you're planning on moving in 12 days, 12 weeks, or 12 months, we'd love to hear from you. Give us a call, shoot us a text or an email so we can help you make that smooth move to Tucson. So yeah, in today's video, mostly we're going to be sharing our experiences, some pros and cons of, going the new construction route versus the resale route, and kind of share some of our experience, give you some real world insight as to why people go one way or another, or sometimes why people wish they would have gone the other route. And then I'm actually out here in Rocking Key out in Vail, Arizona. I hope to find two homes, similar price point, and kind of share with you the differences between a new construction home and a resale home in the same exact neighborhood. So you can kind of contrast, some real world examples right here to help you kind of see, what might pull you in one direction versus the other. So yeah, with that said, let's get right into it. All right, let's get right into the benefits of new construction. So of course, I know a lot of these are going to be obvious to a lot of people, especially if you've been in the market searching for a home. So let's get the most obvious one out of the way right away. So first benefit of new construction home is, of course, everything is new, right? So, brand new roof right away, right? Peace of mind, knowing that you should have a great brand new roof on there. New appliances. In fact, a lot of builders are including like appliance packages. So it may even include the washer, dryer, your refrigerator, stove, even like the heating and cooling system. That's a big one, especially, I'm not here doing a video in Tucson summertime right now. So well, luckily today I get a little bit of a break in the weather. So we've been over 100 degrees most days lately, but we might actually get some rain later today. So we shouldn't even hit the 100-degree mark today. And it's still morning time, so we haven't peaked out even close to that like 97 that's estimated to be today's high. And a little cooler out in Vail too. So lucky on all of that right now. So yeah, new heating and cooling system, new water heater, right? Doors and windows. You can be sure that everything in that home is new. Definitely like a peace of mind walking right into it, knowing you're the first one that actually gets to use all of that. All right, second pro right here is actually going to be that a lot of these builders, when you're walking into a brand new home, they are up to date on what the most popular floor plans and styles are. So when you're buying a home, even if you're not picking out everything yourself, you're gonna walk in there and it's gonna feel very modern, right? They've got an idea what's popular right now. A couple of years ago it's grays, now it's kind of beiges, where people want your hard surface floors versus your carpet, all these things, like what type of showers, bathtubs that people want. They've got a good idea. So a lot of builders out here are doing like spec homes, which means that they're pre-building it to what they think the market is most likely going to gear towards, and then making that available when the home's almost already all the way built. So yeah, you're going to walk right in there, have everything feel a lot more modern than something that was built a few years ago. All right, these next benefits right here aren't necessarily universal, but definitely very common right now. So benefit number 3 for new construction is actually going to be a lot of the builders, especially in tract home developments, are actually providing some pretty good incentives. So, number 3 we're going to put is actually going to be rate buy downs. So in a world where interest rates are fluctuating and they're higher than they were a few years ago, that has people, pretty spooked. Like they know, a few years ago that their payment was going to be relatively low because of the super low interest rates. And, now that interest rates have gone up, they look at their payment and they're significantly different. So the builders, as a way to kind of address that concern, are doing rate buy downs. So you can go into a new construction community and you might see that they're buying your rate down under 5%. So, you know, significant when you're seeing conventional loan rates over 6.5%, reaching 7% right now. That can make a huge difference on your payment right there. So bringing you right into benefit number 4, right along the same lines, is actually less money out of pocket. So a lot of builders too are also helping you with your closing costs, leaving you with more money in your pocket when it comes to closing. It can already be, you know, hard for a lot of people to come up with a full down payment for getting into their home. So coming up with the down payment and closing cost, you know, getting all of your ducks in a row, the builder's just going to make that a little bit easier to handle on you too. So, you know, new construction kind of helps people in that way as well. All right, the last benefit for new construction I wanted to cover with you guys actually ties right into the first one. Everything being new, if you're the first person to own that, you have some pretty extensive warranties on that house. If you buy it directly from the builder, you have, in many cases, a 10-year structural warranty. A lot of them are even gonna do like a 1-year like cosmetic warranty on stuff too. So that's pretty nice. If you notice any like cracks in the drywall or anything that really wasn't addressed, aside from wear and tear, they do have some exemptions on, you know, normal wear and tear. You know, you beat up your cabinets and stuff, that's kind of on you. But even, you know, Richmond American, which is making these homes over here right now, they have like a 30-day mark right now where even if you like damage the walls moving in, they'll help you take care of that at the 30-day mark. You just got to let them know like, hey, you know, we bumped this. They'll come in, do little drywall patches for you, do little touch-ups on the paint, just overall making that like still feel like a new home, even if you had a couple little scuffs and stuff on the way in. So yeah, you get to inherit, you know, the brand new warranties on all of that new stuff, your air conditioning, your water heaters, all your appliances, your fixtures, your flooring, your roof. Those are your warranties, and that is a big peace of mind. All right, now that we've covered some of the benefits of buying a new build home, let's talk about some of the drawbacks. Let's be real. New construction home does not mean perfect right here. So in a lot of cases, when you're buying a new construction home, you're not buying the last home built in the development, which means, you know, my con number 1 right there, you know, is going to be that there's ongoing construction. Even if it's not at your house, you're going to hear hammers going early in the morning, you know, going right into the evening. They're going to try to get, you know, as much done in the neighborhood as fast as they can. The trades are always coming and going. You might have, you know, a porta potty, you know, set up across the street from you, roll-offs on the way to your house, big trucks coming in and out. You know, when they back up to, you hear that, you know, reverse beeping going on. There can be a lot of noise when you first move into that home. So after a while, of course, that's going to smooth over. But if you want to move right into your home and have a little bit of peace, it might be a little bit more difficult with a brand new home. So yeah, I guess another drawback number 2, what I put on right here is that most of these builders aren't doing any backyard landscaping. So when you come in, they'll have it graded, but they won't, in most cases, they won't even have any rock back there. You're not going to get like any of your cool like water features or turf or any real upgrades to that landscaping. Now there's, you know, some exceptions to that, but that's generally true for most of your new home builders. You're going to have to take care of your own backyard and decide what you want to do there. For me personally, that's not a huge deal. I'm definitely going to have a different vision on what to do with my backyard than the builder might. In fact, when, you know, we talk about buying our next home, or when we bought our last home, you know, the first thing I did every home that we went to is I walked into the backyard, looked at what is going on with the space, what I would want to do, what the views look like. You know, I love that outdoor space personally. That's very important to me. So if someone's done something great with it, that's awesome. And if they didn't, you know, I'm probably going to change it. All right, my third drawback that I came up with for buying a new construction home is new doesn't mean perfect, right? So just because it's brand new doesn't mean you're not going to have any problems with the home at all. So we always recommend getting a home inspection, whether it's new or whether it's resale. And I can pretty much guarantee you that home inspector will find things that need to be fixed. And if you haven't already, you know, I definitely check out like just do like a YouTube search or a Google search of new construction home inspection. Watch a couple videos of what those home inspectors may find. You're gonna want peace of mind when you get into your home, and it's always easier to ask for those kind of repairs before you move into the home. After you move in, of course, like having contractors over isn't fun, but sometimes it can be a little bit harder to actually get some of these builders to actually do the work. So yeah, always get a home inspection when you're buying any home out there. You want to go in with your eyes open and get the things that need to be repaired done ahead of time. My fourth and final drawback for new construction homes that I came up with, and I'm sure there's more out there. You can always, hey, don't forget this, and Dustin, throw it in the comments. When we make a video down the road, we update this one. We might actually include your suggestions in the video. So we'd love to hear what you guys have to say on that. But for my fourth drawback is you're not going to actually, or you may not be able to tell exactly, who your neighbors are when, we're buying homes or we're helping people look at homes. We don't just look at the house itself. And this is what a lot of our videos are. We show you guys neighborhoods. So, if we're looking at a home specifically, we might actually go talk to the neighbors, or we might at least kind of look and see, like, what are they doing? Are they, are the neighbors parking in front of their own driveway? Are they parking across the street? Are they blocking other people's driveways or mailboxes? Are they playing loud music? Are there weird smells coming from it? So when you're buying a new construction home, especially if they haven't sold the houses next to you yet, you're not going to know who's really going to be living there. Are they going to have 5 dogs? Is that going to bother you if they have 5 dogs? Are they clean? Are they going to be, taking care of their stuff, or is their trash going to be blowing into your yard? A lot of times with resale, all those homes are already there. You can kind of, look around and get a feel for what people's behaviors are like. And that's actually a good tip on resale too. Drive by the homes at different hours. So, what does that home look like during the day? Or what does that neighborhood look like during the day? Also, what does it look like after work hours? Between like 6 and 7 o'clock, when most people who were gone for the day pull up? Or is there going to be room to park on the street? Are people going to be parking in front of your house every day? These are, good things to find out before you move into a home and start having regrets. All right, I think I've covered everything I want to cover about new construction for the day. So let's get right into the resale benefits. Now, since we ended on the note of not being able to tell who your neighbors are for new construction, for resale, that is definitely an advantage. That is an opportunity. So that's going to be benefit number one, the ability to go meet your neighbors, to go, knock on their door, introduce yourself, especially during inspection period, or just drive by and kind of see, the way people are acting in different hours of the day. So yeah, going in with your eyes open is always just a huge benefit for me. It's not just about the house you're in, it's about the area that you're living as well. All right, so speaking of going in with your eyes open, my second benefit for resale is going to be, exactly what you're getting into. A lot of times when you're buying a new construction home, it's not 100% ready to go turnkey. They have a few things to finish up. You don't know who your neighbors are, right? But in the case of resale, you get to walk in and see exactly what the house is going to look like when you move in. So that's going to be, a huge benefit for people, not having to just cross your fingers and watch things evolve during the inspection and closing period, during your escrow period. You get to, walk in, oftentimes see the way people have their furniture in there and get an idea of whether yours will work. So if you like having that real world example of how is someone using this home, you can go to a model for new construction, or you can see, what somebody has done who actually owns that home. All right, speaking of going in with your eyes open, right? So when you're checking out the resale home, when you walk into that backyard, there's a good chance it's not just going to be a dirt lot anymore. Almost certainly somebody has put their personal touch on it. Maybe they put gravel back there. Maybe they put turf or a water feature. Maybe they put a pool back there, right? There's going to be some good opportunities to find homes that already have a pool. And the cost of buying a home with a pool versus buying a home and then putting a pool in are vastly different, right? So, adding that pool in most cases does not pay for itself. That is something you don't do with a real plan for a return on investment in many cases. If someone's planning on moving in a few years and they ask us our opinion about whether or not to put a pool in, we're probably going to say to hold off on that idea. All right, so your next benefit of resale is going to be hopefully the kinks have been worked through already, right? So of course you've got your problems with new construction. There can be some pains after you move in, figure out this isn't working right, that room for whatever reason isn't getting heating and cooling. You've had to have the builder over. Maybe the inspector missed something, but if someone's lived in a home a couple years, most likely the major issues have been addressed and hopefully fixed. So that's gonna be just another benefit. You walk in knowing that somebody else already worked through a lot of the hard parts for you. All right, next benefit of resale is gonna be less construction noise. Now notice I'm saying less, not zero. Well, in a lot of cases, that construction may have cleared off your street or maybe your specific neighborhood, but as soon as they finish one neighborhood, in a lot, especially newer developments, they're going to be putting another section in, another subdivision. Another builder is going to come in and buy the clear land nearby and start putting more stuff in. So maybe you don't have any rear neighbors right now. All of a sudden 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road, they start building right there. So that noise can come back right there. But I'm gonna say it's gonna be greatly reduced when you buy a resale home. And then even if they do start construction nearby, typically the interference is a little bit less. Hopefully you won't be having water trucks and tractors, the larger trucks, driving by your house as much. You won't have the roll-offs right there, the hammering noise, right on both sides of your house. So I'm gonna say, greatly reduced. That's a major benefit of resale. And there's a lot of neighborhoods out there where there is really no room to build around them. You know exactly what it's gonna look like for the next 20, 40, 50, 60 years. All right, buying a resale home isn't always just a perfect experience with beautiful upgrades and an immaculate home. In fact, that's gonna be the odd one out, right? There's always something that comes up during the home buying process, whether it's real or whether it's new construction, and how you handle it is gonna be a big deal on that, or how it gets handled down the road if there is an issue can also be a big deal. So drawback number one of resale is oftentimes it's an as-is sale. Now, some warranties might come over from the builder. If you're buying something that was built within that 10-year mark, you might still have some structural warranties, but upon the sale of the home, the builder is going to void a lot of their warranties. So that's maybe something you get as the initial buyer, but a future buyer's not gonna get that. But that doesn't mean there's no opportunity for warranties at all. You could also buy yourself a home warranty. There's lots of home warranty options out there, which is really not a bad idea for your first year of home ownership, unless you feel really comfortable with the way the home inspection went and you don't really feel like spending the money on the home warranty. I know there's a big debate about that. I tend to like them for the first year, but it wouldn't be necessarily a huge priority for me. It's gonna be a bonus if I end up throwing a home warranty on it. There's probably gonna have to be something that I'm like, like the air conditioner is 20 years old and I really, after coming with all this money out of pocket to, put down my down payment and my closing cost on this, I really don't want to have to put an air conditioner in year one. So let's not roll the dice on this. Let's get a home warranty. That way we know it's going to be a more minimal cost if something does come up. So second drawback of resale, I put, aside from like warranted items, is actually going to be like negotiating repairs, right? A lot of times when you're buying a new construction home, you do your inspection. Many builders are very understanding with that home inspection report, and they'll just fix stuff. It's pretty nice to be like, hey, we saw all this stuff, and they just say, hey, we got it. When it comes to the resale area, not everyone's going to do that. In fact, not everybody can do all those repairs. You might find something that comes up and it becomes a huge headache for everybody. It happens. It's not going to happen every time. You're going to want to definitely look at a house as you walk around, make sure there's nothing glaring, no big cracks or discoloring on the ceiling or on the floor. There's things you're going to want to look for that, you don't want to surprise on a home inspection like, oh, I could have seen that. And Jennifer and I try to help people with that too. But yeah, we're going to, for this, we're going to say negotiating repairs. It's definitely a lot different in the resale market, and you never know how it's going to go. You never know what buyer's going to ask for or what a seller's actually willing to do until it comes down to it. All right, my next drawback, another just fairly obvious thing. You know, if you're buying a home that's already been lived in, there's probably going to be some normal wear and tear within the home. So you might see, you know, the finishes look a little bit dulled out from being cleaned or from just being touched over and over again. Though there's definitely going to be maybe a little more scrapes on the doors from being open and shut. Just little more things that'll happen anyways on a new construction home. But at least when you move in, it's gonna, you know, feel amazing that, you know, everything is brand new and doesn't have those, you know, wear marks yet. So yeah, wear and tear, you know, being just another drawback of getting a resale home. All right, the last drawback I came up with for resale, and I know there's definitely more out there, but I'm gonna say things having the potential to be outdated, right? Styles change so fast, so you're not gonna always get the most modern style. You're not always gonna get a timeless style when you walk into a resale home. And that could be, you know, everything from your floor choices, paint color, countertops, cabinets, all the way to like the floor plan of the home. Even floor plans change over time. You know, a great example of this was out in Green Valley a couple weeks ago with a client. And we went into this home. It was like a time capsule from the 70s. And it wasn't because someone had staged it that way. It was because it was their vacation home that they ever came to visit. So everything looked like it was in beautiful, perfect shape, but it was straight out of the 70s. You had this old shag carpet, the couch, you had a lot of like yellows in there too, old appliances in the kitchen. Now everything worked perfect, looked like it was in great shape, but it just did not work for my client. He didn't want to feel like he was hopping in a time machine every time he came home. So he looked at that and decided it was too much. And especially, like, you know, the floor plan can be part of that too. Even the style of floor plans change over time. Now, you know, back in like the 70s, the kitchens used to be a little more isolated from living spaces, and not a lot of people want that anymore. I've definitely met people that do, that want to be separated from everybody else while they're cooking a meal and have your focus on what they're actually making for dinner. But I feel like they're more the exception than the rule. A lot of people, when they're in their kitchen, they want to be able to enjoy the time with the family in the living room as well. So open concept is definitely a lot more popular these days. All right, now that I've covered some of the benefits and drawbacks of both new construction and resale, let's bring you to a couple real world examples within the same community. So I am out here in Rocking K, out in the Vail area. So it is a fast growing master plan community. I'm not going to give you too much information on that today because we do other videos that focus in on Rocking K, and this isn't really meant to be a Rocking K video, but just thought Rocking K would be great for examples. But if you want to know more about Rocking K, if you liked kind of, you know, what you've seen as I've been walking around talking to you guys today, check out those Rocking K videos. Definitely a popular neighborhood with a lot going on right here. But yeah, this home behind me is built by Meritage. So you've got this brand new construction home right here, ready to go for you. They're currently asking $484,840 for this. It is starting to rain right now. That's what it is. Definitely feel blessed right now. It's already cooling things down. We're always thankful for the rain whenever it happens, and it doesn't bother me too bad. It's not like I got to worry about having a bad hair day after this or anything. But yeah, 5 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms right here. It's 2,575 square foot. Of course, you know, obviously it's brand new, 2-car garage, 2 stories right here. This home, the lot orientation is kind of facing off to the east. But there are 2-story homes on the other side. So even though you're going to capture a little bit of the mountain views that this neighborhood is, you know, famous for, it's not going to be like the best mountain views in the entire neighborhood, but still you're going to be able to see the rincons. You're going to be able to enjoy those right here. Inside you do have, you know, tile floors, granite countertops, stainless steel appliances. You do have carpet in like the bedrooms and the upstairs, other than like your wet spaces. And, you know, at that price too, it's coming up to about $174 a square foot. So we'll get back to that part in a little bit. One of the big things, you know, I wanted to mention right here is actually what, you know, the builders are doing with their rate buy downs right here too. So I actually just got this email when I was figuring out which home to come show you guys today. Popped up as if it was meant to be Meritage for the month of June. So of course this will be different in July, but there's typically something going on. There's always some sort of incentive that the builders are offering to make things a little bit nicer, but they're buying your 30-year fixed rate mortgage down to about 4.99%. So that's going to save you hundreds of dollars if you're looking at getting a market rate mortgage on a resale home. I mean, it could be the difference of like a car payment for a lot of people right there too. So, I mean, that's definitely gonna be taken into consideration. Or maybe you wanted more home for your money. And of course, loans are often approved by your debt to income. So you may actually be able to buy more home by getting into one of those rate buy downs because it's really affecting your monthly payment right there too. On top of that, they're also doing up to $4,200 in closing costs towards the home too. So just, you know, more money that you don't need to come out of pocket right here. So yeah, beautiful home. Let's go over to resale and see if we can dig up something that has a little bit of benefits to it as well too. So on to the next house. And just like that, the rain is gone. All right, so I'm over here in a totally different part of the neighborhood. To give you an example of resale at about the same price. So this home behind me listed with Realty Executives is 1,993 square foot, listed at $449,000. So pretty much right there within a few $100 of that last home. This one, you know, was built in 2021, so it's not a very old home. Definitely still feels modern, has a, you know, popular floor plan to it, open concept. 0.21 acres on this, so you do have a fairly larger lot, but that last home being a 2-story, the lot probably actually feels larger right there because, I mean, your actual space of the home is taking up a smaller footprint on the land when you have a 2-story versus a single story. So, I mean, really that's going to bring us to what upgrades are going to be in the resale home. What have these people done since they moved in that makes it maybe a little more appealing than what would be available for a new construction home? So right away, you know, one of the things that they're leaving behind is actually a water softener and reverse osmosis system. So a lot of people do like putting water softeners in their home in the Tucson area. We are known for having hard water, not as hard as some areas, but still like a lot of times north of like 11 parts per million or something like that. Sorry, I worked at a company before that paid attention to that stuff. So you can definitely, if you don't have something like that, it can be a little bit more difficult to clean up. You can see some buildup on your faucets and fixtures over time, especially, you know, if you're not the best at maintaining those type of things. So a little bit more wear on that. And then RO, just, you know, giving you clean, very clean water for, you know, cooking and drinking around the house. Enough with that though, you know, let's get into some other stuff too. They have like painted some accent walls in there too. So you don't just have that standard white that the builders are putting in. You've got some things that kind of pop a little bit more. And then of course, you know, backyard when it comes to me, very important. And they've done, you know, a nice, clean, easy maintenance job on this. Really love what they've done. So they actually have extended the patio with pavers, you know, perfectly laid. They have gravel back there. They have turf, and, you know, at the extended patio, they also positioned, because this home also faces east, I should say too. The backyard mostly faces east. They've also positioned their extended patio so that their sitting area was going to face over there towards the Rincon Mountains, towards Mount Micah, to enjoy some mountain views while they're sitting in their own backyard right here. So yeah, we're coming in at about, I believe, $225 per square foot compared to that $174 from the new construction. So they are actually asking, you know, a bit more per square foot when you break it down, which kind of oftentimes track with bigger homes. A lot of times bigger homes are going to be less dollars per square foot, but I thought for the purpose of today's video, you know, finding you 2 homes that were about the same asking price for new construction and resale, just to kind of give you an idea of what might be the difference in that about $450,000 price range. You know, what if you're shopping in that price range, what are 2 extreme examples of what you can get on either side? So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, found it useful. I know that a lot of these principles don't just apply to Tucson. These are all over the places, you know, new construction going on all over the United States to you're going to see a lot of the same incentives, a lot of the same hangups when you're buying new construction or resale. So it might even be useful to you no matter where you're looking, or you might already know a lot of this stuff. But if you did find today's video useful or enjoyable, make sure to hit that like button. And if you haven't already, click subscribe and tap that bell for notifications so we can be the ones to help you stay up to date on the current market in Tucson, Arizona. And if you or someone you know is thinking about moving to or from Tucson, give us a call, shoot us a text or an email so we can help you or help them make that smooth move to Tucson. Thank you guys for watching, and we look forward to seeing you on the next video.